Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Cameron Ashgar. He is a Los Angeles real estate specialist that has an incredible story to share. He was born in the Midwest, received his master's degree in Washington, D.C., in international relations. He speaks multiple languages, traveled the world extensively, and then, while vacationing in India, he had an unexpected experience that changed the course of his life and destiny. Cameron is going to share more about that here today. All right, welcome to the show, Cameron.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. And, this show started based on my new best selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And it's behind me there. There's a picture of the book.
Mm.
And so I love to start out by asking guests to share about a time in their business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Well, it's a perfect question because my story really relates to that. I'll go into more of the details of what happened in India, but
Mm,
what I can say about that is I moved to Los Angeles about a year ago. I had been running a real estate brokerage in the Midwest for about 6 years. It was doing really well. But through the chain of events that happened that we'll talk about soon,
mhm.
I moved to LA with my wife and pretty much started fresh again and didn't know anyone and had to really kind of recreate myself in a new city, a big city. LA is
Yeah.
Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. It's the, top. Everybody who wants to make it, everybody who's ambitious and driven, they come here. So it's been a really incredible transformational experience, and there's a lot I can say about that, about how putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, if
Mhm.
it doesn't break you down, it definitely will transform you and recreate you and build you up. So
Yes.
that would be, that's what happened to me when I came to LA. It was totally that.
Mhm. Beautiful. That's incredible. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, well, how did you get into real estate with all the traveling? How did that show up in your life?
Well, I'm a real estate baby. My dad is a broker. My mom was in real estate also. They were on a team for a long time at Coldwell
Mhm.
Banker.
Okay.
Actually, my dad is a immigrant from Iran, and he came
Mhm.
here for petroleum engineering um,
Mhm.
when Iran was still under a different regime. And
Yeah.
while he was here, there was a revolution, and he also
Yep.
has his own story of perseverance and having to recreate himself because he came to a new
Mhm.
country. He definitely wasn't going back.
Right.
And his he was here for petroleum engineering. What happened before, United States had a really great relationship with Iran in the past, and a lot of students were getting funded by the oil companies in
Mhm.
Iran to come and study in the United States. And then when they would finish, they had a contract to come work at the refinery that sponsored their education for a while. Well, the refinery that was sponsoring my father got bombed during the Iran-Iraq War.
Oh,
So
wow.
he obviously lost his funding. So he ended up putting himself through school. I think he was working as a bellboy at a hotel and also
Mm.
cleaning cars for Avis.
Yeah.
He met my mom at the hotel. She was like the front desk lady, and he was the bellboy.
Um,
So they had their, that's how they met. But then he got into real estate, and he really just worked hard. I remember him telling me how, I asked, like, how did you start doing so well? He couldn't even speak English that well.
right. Yeah.
And he said, I kept showing up. I came to the office when everybody was out during the weekends, going to the lake, going vacationing. I was sitting in the office, and it was in the past, before we had all the internet stuff. So people would be calling the real estate company whenever they were looking to buy or sell a house. So he said I would
Mhm.
just be there all the time. Whatever the client wanted, I would give it. If they wanted to do a contract, even if I didn't know how to do a contract, I'd call my broker and I'd just make it happen. And so that
Right.
inspired me. But it's kind of like being the preacher's son. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do the same thing that your dad did.
Mhm.
So I really resisted that for a long time. And I got into real estate probably about 12 years ago, but I didn't really get serious about it until much later. Like I would do one deal and then I would take the money and fly to New York until all my money ran out. And then I'd come back and do another deal. Then I'd go somewhere else, go to India or wherever I could. It was only after I graduated from Washington, D.C. For my master's degree. I was really trying to find work in D.C., but it's a very competitive place there. And a lot of the people who get the jobs, even with master's degrees, they put in a long time of what they called interning at all
Yeah.
of these. So it's basically free work.
Oh, no.
And they did, and so anybody who did that usually got the job. Well, I didn't have the time or the interest to do free work after all that time I put into my education. So I
Right.
wasn't able to get employed in DC. I ended up coming back to the Midwest, a little bit discouraged that I wasn't able to, do that thing that in my mind was such a big achievement in that moment. And I said, well, I always said if all else fails, I'll just do real estate. So let me do it. But I
Right.
really dedicated myself that time. And my first month, I was the top salesman in my company. And then within 3 months, I talked to my dad. He had a broker's license. I said, Dad, let's just start our own brokerage. Well,
Mhm.
and so that's what we did. And I
Yeah.
think within 7 months, I had 13 agents. I was like one of the top salespeople in the city. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. So it's like sometimes the thing that you resist most is the thing that you'll end up loving the most. And that's what it was for me.
Nice. Very good. I love that. Yes,
Thank
and,
you.
as you know, real estate has also been a big part of my life. So,
Yes, I do.
yeah, so that's, just something I've always done. Passive income. I have been an investor and then an agent, and I help people
Mhm.
invest, and so I have a blast with that, but passive income beats work any day, and then you can just do what you love.
Oh, yeah.
That's my thing. Work is just overrated. Sorry.
Exactly. You got to do
Yeah,
what you love, then it's not work. And that's another great thing about real estate. Once, like what with me, I started making a lot of sales and I started making relationships with banks. The next thing you know, I was doing flips. So
Mhm.
there's like a levels to that. So
Right.
for anybody out there who's thinking about real estate, I would suggest like making a trajectory, start doing good, start making sales, but try to work your way up. So like you said, Sheila, so you can start investing because that's where you start making income without really having to grind all the time. And you can
Yes,
really start
yes.
enjoying your life more.
This is the thing. A lot if you're a real estate agent listening in, that's one thing I do teach a course for agents on how to invest. A lot of agents make that money, spend the money, make the money. And when
Mm-hmm.
you start
Mm-hmm.
investing and building passive income, you don't always have to work, or you can easily have a team, do referrals, and have fun. But that passive income will be there when you don't want to do the job anymore. So it really
That's
makes a
right.
big difference. Yes, very important. So now I'd love to hear about the story of this big change, this thing that happened to you in India. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'd love to tell you it's crazy. It's not anything I ever expected. And, as I told you, I was running a real estate brokerage. And for any of you out there who have run a brokerage or a company where employees are depending on you and you have a lot of deadlines, it can be really draining. I was making so much money, but I didn't have that internal happiness of just enjoying it. I didn't have a lot of people around me that I related with. I didn't, I've never been like somebody who wants to go out and, party too hard. Like I love to have a good time, but Anyway, I was a little burnt out. So a friend of mine was like, why don't you come visit me? I'm in Goa, India. It would be a great
Mhm.
time. Just come for 2 weeks. It's you can get away from your company for 2 weeks. I said, you know what? I think I will. It's a good idea. I need a break. So I hopped on a plane with my return ticket for 2 weeks, and I went to Goa, India. And I don't know, I'm sure some of you know about Goa. It's a beautiful coastal place in India. There's an ocean there,
Mhm.
great music. It's an international hub. It's kind of like for those of you who know about Tulum in Mexico, it's
Yeah.
like an international hub of artists, musicians, and people from all around the world. So I want to
Mhm.
draw the picture that this India that I went to wasn't like the India that a lot of us imagine. It was a really cool international place. So needless to say, I was having a great time. I rented a motorcycle. I was driving my
Mhm.
motorcycle everywhere, going to music shows at night, getting in better shape on the beach, playing frisbee, just having a great time. So my
Mhm.
2 weeks flew by a little bit too fast. And I said, let me stay another week. What's another week? I got people who can kind of manage for me. I'm doing stuff remotely. It's not a big deal. Let me stay for another week. So the night that my plane left, I went to a music concert, and there was this beautiful uh, Indian girl, performing that night. And for me, it was just love at first sight. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure she wasn't, I didn't feel like she was also like that. She was kind of blowing me off, but
Yeah.
I was so like, there was something magnetic driving me, connecting me to her. I just wanted to get to know her. And it was a curiosity of friendship at first. I was just so intrigued by this person. She was so exotic. She was so unique to what I was used to as
Yeah.
people that, and I had just come out of a really bad breakup with a girl
Mhm.
from who was also a real estate agent in my
Mhm.
hometown. So I was kind of looking for love. And we just kept seeing each other everywhere. And we ended up one night on the beach. She had messaged me, hey, if you want to see me, I'm going to be on the beach for another 10 minutes. And, so I dropped whatever I was doing and tried and went towards that place. But, my phone reception went out. So I didn't know where she was. And I just
Oh.
started walking down the beach at night. The moon was shining. It's like something out of a movie.
Oh.
And I don't know where she is, but I just see over on the shore like the moonlight was coming down and there was a figure just sitting there. And I walked up and it was her. And
Wow.
I found her
Mhm.
without, knowing where she would be. So I felt like, wow, that was like some,
Yeah.
magical thing. And we started talking, and I was telling her, yeah, I'm doing really well with my business, but there's something missing. I want something more to life. And she looked at me and she said, if you stay, I'll stay.
Oh.
And it was like, I think it was a little bit of a joke, or like, it was like a light comment, but I said, okay, I'll stay. And that just grew. We fell in love, and it was around the time uh, before COVID, but for whatever reason, we had originally planned that she would, we spent 2 months together every single day in India, and then I we had planned that she would get a visa and just come to the United States back with me, and we'd get to know each other better there. Well, the visa didn't work out. And
Oh.
by that time, we were so in love that I decided I wasn't going to leave this person. It's like when you find love, it's more
Mm.
valuable than anything else, any monetary thing. It just, for a human being, it's just so special. It's like gives you a sense of purpose. So I
Mhm.
wasn't going anywhere, man. I wasn't going to leave her. So I stayed in India, and I ended up staying with her in India for the next 5 years. I didn't go
Wow.
back.
Wow.
So you know, on one side, wow, it's so beautiful, and it is, but at the same time, my family, the people working for with me, and I had a manager there, so it's not like I just left them to their own devices, but I was the driving force of the company, definitely. And
Mhm.
So to them, they're like, this guy's lost his mind. And maybe I had a little bit, got a little crazy in love. But anyway, that's the choice I made. And I didn't have a work visa. So, I was doing some flips remotely. I was having
Mhm.
the people fix the houses up. I wasn't really having to be there. So that's something also, for the listeners, there's opportunities. If you know what you're doing, you don't even have to see the property. You
Yeah.
can buy and sell a house in a state where you never even been to. That's
Mhm.
possible. I did that from India.
Yeah.
But she's a singer. My wife, now she's my wife.
Wow.
She's been
Now she's
singing
your
well,
wife.
not at this part of the story, but in this moment in time.
Yes.
So a little bit of a spoiler, but she has been singing since she was 5 years old. So
Mm.
especially when we first met, we really just wanted to do everything together. It was like a little obsessive, but so I wasn't making music at the time, but I was really inspired by her. She's a really talented singer, like incredible.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I started dabbling in trying and wanting to make music. So I downloaded some music making software. I started making it, and I don't know if it was just that I was really inspired or I put a lot of time into it, but I came up with really good music.
Wow.
And before you know it, I had put together about 10 songs that she sang on, and then I would do things on as well. And before you knew it, we started performing. And our first show was about, I would say, like 100 people, which is not
Mhm.
bad for our first
Mhm.
show. And we weren't
Great.
sure what people were going to think about it. Next show was 250 people. Next show was 500 people. Next show it was 1,000. I think our biggest show, because we grew fast and we started performing all over India. Uh,
Mm.
we had about 10,000 people at one of our shows at VH1 Supersonic Music Festival in Pune. So
Wow.
all of a sudden, I'm now this music artist, music producer, and it was just incredible. And and there was a part of me that longed, like, oh, I don't want to give up my real estate career. It was really promising, but what can I do? I'm here in India, and I always had this idea I would maybe do real estate again someday. But so little bit of a fast forward. I mean, because we went through so much. The
Mm.
family was not up for it because they were like, "Who's this American guy trying to come take our daughter?" Her dad is
Yeah.
and family is very traditional. He's a
Uh,
monk. He grew up in a monastery. Amazing guy. So, needless to say, they were a little bit unsure about my intentions and everything. But uh, in India, if you get married, you're accepted. So we finally got them to accept. We had a beautiful Indian royal wedding. We it was incredible, and then COVID happened right in the middle of us trying to work out the visa and stuff. So that really was made it take a lot longer. So fast forward 6 years later, we decide we're going to come to Hollywood to go pursue our music further,
yep.
and so we come here, and it was you know, not what we were expecting
Mm.
because anybody who from around the world, I'm going to tell you right now, you come to Hollywood thinking they're going to roll out the red carpet. I don't care how talented you are. That is not the nature of the city. It's a grind,
Yeah.
it's a hustle, it's a network. You got to be at
It
your
is.
A game. This is the NBA of whatever industry you want to get into over here.
And
So,
COVID changed it up, changed it a lot.
yeah,
Oh, it
yeah.
really did. Yeah.
Changed
Yeah.
everything, for everybody, but for artists especially, because for a long time there was no performances, a lot of things went online, and
Mhm.
but at the same time, we've been getting, we have been, and we started to get shows, meeting great celebrities, so that's also part of it. If you really
Yeah.
commit yourself, put it all on the line, and just trust in whatever higher force that you can align to, you're going to have great experiences. And so I decided, hey, why don't I try getting my real estate going in LA again?
Mhm.
And so that's what I did. So my point of saying that was like, hey, it's an amazing full circle, because yeah, I stopped doing real estate in the Midwest for a while, but now I'm doing it again there too. But because I trusted a journey and I went on what I really believed in and what I had faith for, I ended up coming to one of the most sought after city in the world. And now I'm real estate professional, meeting and working with high-end clients in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So it's been an incredible full circle. And yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that is incredible. And there's nothing better than the Beverly Hills caravans for sure.
right.
I love those. We have had some parties.
Oh
So
yeah.
it is incredible. Definitely. And so now you're going to still be working in Beverly Hills area or Hollywood. Which area are you working in primarily?
Well, my primary area is definitely Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills, but it just depends on the client, you know. It depends on where the client wants to live. There's beautiful estates all over LA, you know,
Hmm.
Calabasas and even in Sherman Oaks, there's some beautiful properties up in the hills. It's all around. So, I think for sellers, pretty much focusing in like Beverly Hills area and the surrounding areas. Hollywood Hills close enough, but for buyers, we'll go wherever you want. You know, Topanga. You want to live in the mountains? We'll go to Topanga. You want to live on a more secluded beach side? We'll go to Malibu. Whatever you want. You want more security? You know, we'll go to Thousand Oaks. You tell
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. There are so many beautiful places to live in and invest in California, and
Right.
especially Southern California. Definitely. Yeah. One of the
Yeah, and
best.
another great thing of the fact that I came from the Midwest is like, for investors, if you want to invest in LA, you need a couple million to really get going. You know, that's just the
Mhm.
reality out here. But in the Midwest, you can get in for 50, 60,000, you know,
Yeah.
in the Midwest. So that's a really like investors have been interested in the fact that I can, you know, for people who have a little bit of a discretionary income, investment income, but not quite enough to start investing in LA, I can give them options in
Mhm.
different regions, like in the Midwest, where, you know, and I have all the contacts there too, all the
Right.
contractors. I know the area really well. So I've been working with some investors with in the Midwest as well who are here in LA.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, very good. Very good. Yeah, I love that. That is fun. Yes, and so important to be able to diversify your areas, especially, one area gets hit with storms. California's had some storms this last year that we've never had before.
Hmm.
So definitely good to diversify your investments and not have everything in one location if you're doing property investing for sure. And then it's
Right.
nice to have residential as well as commercial investments. And I love to do the 1031 exchanges, and
There you
that's one of
go.
my. So yeah, so when you're ready for that, that's a fun way to grow over time. And I have my children are grown, and one thing that I'm teaching them is to buy and invest in properties
That's
to grow.
so smart.
They
That's so
have income.
good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's huge, and it's the best thing because they're learning how to create income. Yes, they have degrees, they've gone to school, they're doing their jobs now. My daughter's just graduating psychology and already working in the field, but that
Awesome.
passive income is something. Then if she wants to, stop and raise a family later or whatever it is, you have that income and you
Hmm.
can do that. So that is the key. It really makes a difference.
It's so true. And I talked to, because I'm in the music industry as well. I've been producing for a lot of different artists that you might hear on the radio. And that's what I tell them as well, because a lot of these guys who come in and get
Mhm.
a nice advance from the record label, million, couple million, they get so excited. They're spending $30,000 on their lease per month,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
haven't really learned money management or how to invest. And so
Mhm.
that's one of the things I always stress to my clients in the music industry is like, let's identify how you're going to take this money that you have and that you're going to be making through your music and make it work for you. So
Yes.
when you stop making music eventually, because that's what happens, you know, you're popular, and then somebody else comes in and
Right.
they take the stage. That's just how it rolls. So I like to really, you know, talk to my people in the music industry and like help them identify how they're going to make their wealth generational. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. That way you just do what you love
yeah,
and you don't have to worry about it. It's always the passive income is always there.
yeah.
So,
And that's what we
yeah.
all want. We want the financial freedom to enjoy our lives, to enjoy our family, to enjoy our friends, to make great connections like we're making, and just to, you know, not always be working from paycheck to paycheck. That's stressful. And I think people like us, we've through blessing and through educating ourselves and our experiences, we know that, and we want to help other people because,
Mhm.
you know, it really is a state of mind and a knowledge base, and
Right.
anybody can do it. You know, you just have to have the right people around you and the right information. You know,
Mhm.
like, you know, I recommend everybody read your book. I'm sure that, you know, you give a lot of tips in there about how people are going to be able to reach financial freedom despite
Mhm.
their circumstances.
Yes, yes. In fact, that's the best time to reorganize is when you're going through a tough situation or you're
Yep.
kind of reinventing a time in your life. Like you had a whole shift from the
Woo, yep.
Midwest to India and now to California. And so every time you have that change, it's like the foundation. You get to do a new foundation and it's all on your terms. How do you want to design your life? To live the life that you want. And happiness, you know, everybody has a different definition of what happiness is. So, and love
Totally.
is huge, right? Love is, I mean, you could think the whole world could be falling apart and you're in love, you know, you're like, what's going on? I'm in love. I'm happy. I'm having a blast, you know.
Exactly.
So important, but it's all connected. You know, if you're
Hmm.
struggling to make ends meet, you don't even have time to meet people. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So, and when you're in love, you don't even care if you're struggling. You're like, okay, cool, we're struggling right now, but we're in love. So it's
Yeah,
all good.
exactly. It's such a high. It's,
It
yeah,
really is.
exactly. You
Yes.
know, that's so true. Also, you know, people who work the 9 to 5, right? Um, I think the real deep psychological thing, you know, your daughter is in psychology. Maybe she could
Mhm.
reflect on this also sometime. But it's because they have a certain fear of taking risk. They're not happy because they're really just getting by, but they're
Yeah.
afraid that if they do something else, that sense of small security is going to be pulled out from under them. But
Mhm.
the truth is, it's only through risk, taking risk for what you believe in, and believing in yourself enough to invest in yourself, that you're going to be able to uh, step out of that endless vicious cycle of just getting by. And
Mhm.
you know what the truth is, when you put this yourself at risk, it's not that just the red carpet is going to roll out and you're going to just get it all. No, you're going to
No,
be
you
at
put that
the
word.
edge of the cliff, and that being at the edge is the thing that gives you the energy and the light and the drive to succeed.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you almost
Yes.
have to put yourself into a situation that scares you in order to achieve your goals,
So
right?
true. So true. Out of
It's
that
been my
comfort.
experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I too traveled 7 years full straight out, full time. I went with the Tony Robbins group and had a blast.
Oh
And
wow,
I
that's
brought my
awesome.
youngest 2 kids with me, and we did go to India. We went to it's now Ecom. It was One World Academy and Oneness. So Chennai was what the one I
Mm.
went to, and so I stayed there and got to study with the monks, and so it was an incredible experience to be able to bring my kids and do that, and I think there's something about I mean, I look back now and I think I'm so glad I did lose my youngest son. He had a heart condition, and people that
I'm
listen to the
sorry
show
to.
know about that. That was hard. But I thought, you know what? I knew when he was in fifth grade, I knew he had this issue and he was safe to travel. I pulled my youngest two out of school and we did like studying online, and we traveled the world and had a blast. What
Wow.
so grateful. We had family time, we had quality time, and we got to learn from the masters in the world, the monks and the Tony Robbins, all these incredible people, and it was worth it. And you know what really funded my trips? Passive income from real estate.
Boom.
So
Exactly. Same here.
that's it.
Same
Yep.
here. I would have never been able to live in
No
India
way.
for 5 years without that.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
No way.
exactly. Exactly. So that is it. And you can start small. You can start where you're at, even if you are working. You might love your job, but to be able to start and plan to slowly invest one step at a time, you're going to create a beautiful retirement nest egg so you can travel, and you can start traveling even sooner than you think once you
Hmm.
get it going. So definitely. Now, Cameron, where can people reach you? How can they connect with you?
They can call me, they can email me, they can check out my Instagram. My Instagram for real estate is at LA Estate Guru.
All right.
And I do a lot of amazing posts of luxurious properties and some properties around the world also. I give tips to buyers and sellers about making the right decisions, and I'm always available. I have my contact there, my phone number is there. You can call me any time of the day. I mean, unless I'm asleep, and then I'll take a message. But
Right.
I'm always available. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm also in the music industry, and but that's a different topic. So I'll stay with the fact that you can reach me anytime for real estate. And I would say that what sets me apart, or what is unique about me, or what I bring to the table, is I love people, and I really am doing it because, and I think you also are like this, that you want to help, and I want to
Yeah.
help people. I want to help people. Um, you know, I'll tell you a quick story about one of the first real estate deals I ever had.
Hmm.
I would post a lot of my listings on Facebook just so to try to get interested buyers. And I noticed this one guy, he would always message on Facebook and he would say, "Oh, beautiful home, but I wish I'll never be able to afford it," or "Oh, great, but not for me. I don't have the ability to get a loan." Stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly, but stuff like, "I
Right.
love it, but I could never do it." So I messaged him. I said, "Give me a call, man. I want to talk to you." He called
Mm,
me. He said, "Man, no, I can't get approved. I've been to a bunch of lenders. They don't want to approve me." I said, "Come to my office. I want to meet you."
right.
Came to my office. The guy just got out of the heart surgery.
Mm,
He was he had delinquencies on his credit cards. His card payment was too high, but he had a strong employment history, and there was some positive stuff on his credit score. It wasn't impossible. So I worked with that guy for 3 months, 4 months, and we called the credit card company together. We told him he had just had a heart surgery. Because of that, they removed the delinquency based on
mhm.
his extenuous situation. The the car loan also did the same thing, so it brought his car payment down. So now his
Yeah.
DTI was at a level that we could work with.
Right.
And you know, at the end, I had been working on a flip, and he bought the flip. I got both sides of the deal. The guy, he works at Denny's, which is a restaurant. People
Right.
come in, so he would invite me to bring my agents in there. So
Oh.
I'd bring 13 people in there. He'd bring everybody food. He refused to charge us. And one
Oh.
day he told everybody, and he was tearing up. He said, "The reason I'm doing this is because when nobody else would take me seriously, this
Mm,
man went out of his way to help me. And
mhm.
he gave my dignity back to me. He
Nice.
made me, in front of my family's eyes, feel like a real man that could produce and provide for them and own my own home. And for
Mhm.
that, I'll always appreciate him." And it really opened my heart and made me fall in love with real estate even more, because I
Right.
really saw that I was helping people. And he has referred me, I think, 3 or 4 clients at this point.
Uh-huh.
And you know that's really what I want to talk to people about who would reach out to me. Like, that's the kind of person that I am, and that's why I do what I
Mhm.
do.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And then at the end of the day, you sleep well and you know you've made a difference.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
what it's all about. You know, me too. I just have fun with it and make sure to help people get into something that really fits them, that's right for them, uh,
Hmm.
and is the right value for them. So,
Right.
or return on investment is really important to me rather than making a sale is the last thing on my mind. It's about the people, and if it's going to bless them and help them in their life. So that
Amen.
makes
Yeah, totally.
sense. Yes, yes. All right. Well, it was wonderful to have you as a guest on the show. I do have a last question I always ask guests, and
Come
that
on.
is if you could go back in time to perhaps 10 or 12 years old, you, what advice would you give yourself?
Keep calm and carry on.
Nice. That's a good one. That's
It
right.
always works out, even when it seems like there's no way. Universe or whatever you want to call it, it's abundant. Just trust. Keep calm
Exactly.
and carry on.
Beautiful. I love that. And again, what is your Instagram then where people can connect with you, Cameron?
At LA Estate Guru.
At LA Estate Guru. Okay. All right. Well, I will reach out to you there as well.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you again for being a guest on the show. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned. All right.
Bye.